Welcome to Digital Garden State, a podcast by the New Jersey Health Information Management Systems Society.
Welcome to the New Jersey Health Information Management Systems Society podcast series, where we discuss emerging trends in healthcare technology and their impact on our industry. New Jersey HIMSS is a consortium of healthcare professionals, providers, and vendors who are committed to promoting constant improvement in the use of information technology within the healthcare industry. I'm your host, Mike Fortino, current New Jersey HIMSS board member and account executive with GalaxE Solutions. Before we get started, I want to emphasize that our chapter is supported by some amazing companies, and without their sponsorship, we could not deliver on our mission of healthcare technology advocacy and learning. Today's podcast episode is a continuation of our Customer Stories series, where we highlight one of our great sponsors. And today's sponsor is ETHERFAX, and our guest is Paul Banco, CEO and co-founder. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning.
Good morning. And it's an early morning, isn't it?
It sure is. I had a late night last night, too.
It's that when you're running an organization like yours, I can just only imagine you've got you're you're a little limited on your ability to get some sleep at night.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, I get in my 8 hours, but
do you?
It was recreation. It was card night last night. So.
Oh, okay. Well, good to hear. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad. So, Paul, I thought we would start off with a brief overview of ETHERFAX, a bit of history, your journey, and then talk about some of your experiences in healthcare, maybe a case study or two. But I'd like you to kind of just give us the background on the company, because I think you've got a really interesting set of solutions, products, and a great story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we started the company, Mike, back in 2008, and I always joke, if I had a crystal ball, I probably would have, had a different name for the company.
Really?
Coming today, just what we've accomplished, what we've achieved, and the path that the journey took us down. So we started out as this fax server company. We found the need to deliver high quality fax communications utilizing a different method. We have a technology that's protected by around either 11 or 12 patents. We continue to evolve. We continue to innovate. And, and you ask, here we are in the year 2023 and why fax? I mean, let's face it, there's nothing sexy about the technology. I joke, it's like Moses and Jesus's first technology project. It's that old, right? And,
it is.
And unfortunately, I mean, I think I refer to it as the cockroach of technology. And,
really? That's too funny.
We can't get rid of it, right? I mean, and it is the king in healthcare. 75 to 80% of all healthcare communication is done via fax.
I did a little research and, just trying to, figure out, what does that really look like, right? And I came up with the same numbers. 75% of, healthcare organizations are still, using fax. I was, my initial impression, I thought maybe 25, 30%, but no, it's much higher.
It's really amazing. I mean, you almost have to question yourself, right? In an era where we have self-driving cars, where we're reusing rockets, right? We're getting internet from satellites in space. You have to question yourself, like what is really wrong with the healthcare community? I mean, the joke in the industry is they're the first to come out with new standards, policies, and procedures, and they're the last to implement them.
Yeah. Well, you look at it from their perspective is, the pressure that they've got, right? You absolutely have to protect, the data, the information, the patient, right? Even the providers, you got to protect them. So all of a sudden, here comes those strong policies, and we got great policies, but good news, great policies, bad news, some really great policies that we've got to now do something about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, why do people still use it, right? But I mean, there's this, the idea, or I should say, the goal towards interoperability, within healthcare to exchange patient information between disparate systems. The idea and the concept is great. I mean, the government has gone as far as saying, "Hey, if you don't do this, we're going to fine you."
Mm-hmm.
Organizations just don't want to change, right? I mean, if you think about what happens with inside a healthcare organization, people want to be able to walk up, put in the piece of paper, punch in the 10 digits, hit the pretty little green button, and they know it's going to get to the other side
Mm-hmm.
securely.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as efficient as by today's means, but it's going to get there. It's ubiquitous, it just works, and it's secure.
Right. Right.
So, and that's really where EtherFax comes in and shines, because we're teaching this old dog, this old technology, some new tricks, right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be, synonymous with curly paper and telephone lines and two modems hissing at each other, right?
Yeah.
Digital fax, guaranteed delivery, secure communications is here today, and that's what EtherFax is doing. We're taking the idea that fax is the baseline,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the baseline. The end user doesn't have to change, anything on their side. The receiving party doesn't have to change anything on their side. But if we have two endpoints or two parties communicating with each other using disparate technologies, let's say I got a WriteFax server going to a Lexmark device, and they're both on EtherFax. It goes across as internet. It goes across with internet speeds, guaranteed delivery, end-to-end encryption, high
Mm-hmm.
resolution, color, the whole nine yards. So it is a digital transaction from start to finish, and that's really where we're taking healthcare organizations. A
Mm-hmm.
50-page fax no longer takes 45 minutes and 50 retries to get there, right? I mean, can
Yeah,
you
it's very
imagine?
true.
Yeah,
Yep.
can you imagine the patient on the other side, waiting for that medical record to come through,
Yep.
taking an hour?
Yep.
That's just not to, it's the technology is there today where we can do much better, and that's really where EtherFax is heading towards.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. It's you're taking them through a digital transformation, right?
Mm,
A modernization of an existing set of technology that it sounds like it's not even you're able to do that in such a way where you know you're improving their workflow, right, without a huge change to the way they actually do business today, right, or in the
That's
past.
key. That's key, and that's why the adoption for our technology,
Uh-huh.
we really remove that roadblock. Like, we get it. Like,
Yeah.
all right, everybody's, two things, right? People want security, but
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to change. So when you tell the nursing staff or the clinician staff or the rev cycle staff that you have to change workflow, they're like, yeah, no, you know what? We're not, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
a CISO or a CIO at a hospital that says, I got to retrain my staff to use this.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no benefit,
significant,
right?
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Awesome. Hey, so with that in mind, I mean, I really, when I took a look at what you guys have to offer, right? I mean, the products themselves, um, ERIS, I don't know if you pronounce
Eris.
Eris, okay, because
Yep.
I didn't know it was Eris or Eris, but
Yep.
Eris, Weave, document exchange, integrations, even your APIs, right? Your developer APIs. You look at it and you're all focused in and around data exchange, right? It's
Yes.
it's all about that, and can you kind of frame that with one of your customers, and what you've
Sure. Yeah.
just if you could, that'd be great.
100%. Yeah. So Eris actually, our first iteration with Eris was called EIM, which stood for the EtherFax Integration Module. It was
Okay.
specifically designed that module to help customers, migrate primarily off of a product called WriteFax. You have to understand something, that fax has real estate in every organization, regardless if you're healthcare, financial, or what have you. So in order to help customers transition off of WriteFax, we developed this product called the ETHERFAX integration module. And that was, 4 or 5 years ago. Within the last 24 months, the ETHERFAX integration module took on such a transformation and was able to accomplish so much more than its original use. We renamed the product to ERIS, which stands for the ETHERFAX Remote Integration Service. So it allows organizations that have developed these, these unbelievable or these complex workflows around traditional fax servers to just slip ERIS in without having to do any coding, and it utilizes our API to do, get documents inbound and outbound. So that's on the ERIS side. We now said, all right, well, what is the systemic problem within healthcare? It's, what do I do with that fax once I get it in? Well, it goes to someone, whether it's a clinician or someone who's just doing data entry, and they're keying in all that information into their workflow product, whether that be Epic, Cerner, NextGen, what have you, right? So they're keying that unstructured data in, and they're putting that in. So that's a lot of time, right? You take a 50-page fax and you got to get that into the patient record, and maybe you only need the first 2 pages, but that's a lot of time. We have customers that have, a staff and upwards of 50 people that just do this, or they'll, believe it or not, ship it off overseas and then have an army of overseas personnel entering this in.
Right.
We said we had to do better, and that's where, the idea of Weave came. We said we're going to take all this information, we're going to turn unstructured data into structured format. We have 100% digital document anyway, right? So let's OCR, let's do forms recognition, let's get the ICD-10 code, the MRN, first name, last name, the demographics about the patient, and let's give that to them in a programmatic way where that could automatically be ingested into the EMR or into the workflow application. And now the person that's, keying that information in, all they really have to do is verify that. So if you think about that, if you could save 15 to 20 minutes on an intake form, and these organizations are getting hundreds of thousands of faxes per day, that's a lot of time.
Right.
A lot of efficiency gain. And even if we only got it 80% right, or we were only able to save them 80%, in their time, that's still tremendous.
Yeah. The value there is, more time to focus on the patient, right? And really why they're there.
Right. Move the patient through the process, make the patient's journey much more enjoyable, listen,
right.
I experienced this, Mike, firsthand. I mean, my mother, God bless her, love her. I mean, but she's got, her medical record is the size of War and Peace.
Yeah.
And, I had to wait for that record to come over via fax one day. And I literally sat there and watched the fax machine off hook in communication for over 2 hours just to get her record. Wow. I sat there in the waiting room.
Wow, that's you talk about a lot of friction for the patient. That's a lot of friction. So can you talk a little bit about one or more of your case studies?
Sure. Is there a particular one that you saw that you like? All right.
Well, I kind of like them all,
yeah.
But it totally up to you. I mean, one that you think that I think one that's, as you mentioned before, leads into and talks a little bit about workflow, right? Because I think that's, getting to improve a workflow for, the team that's supporting the patient administratively, I think that's what people really do want to focus on and improve upon. So if you can talk about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, in the first one that I'd love to discuss was really during the COVID era, which
Okay.
was the state of Arizona. You know, they obviously people out of work, a lot of unemployment coming through. And there's actually a video of this on the internet. I believe it's on our website as well, where the governor discusses, the changes of what they've done. But
Uh-huh.
you were having during COVID, people were trying to get in their unemployment claims. They were faxing, to the local unemployment claims office there, and because of the sheer volume, the telephony system that they had just could not keep up. So immediately came to ETHERFAX. We put in put in Eris. I'm sorry, that was through a partner of ours. They utilized the API.
Okay.
Info. I'll give them a plug. They utilized our API, threw in ETHERFAX, with their product on the API, and we immediately alleviated the bottleneck. Now, what was really interesting and what I really love about this case study was you probably don't have a fax machine at home. And like every other person out there on the consumer side, they really don't have a fax machine. So what are they doing? They're going to Staples, they're going to FedEx, Office Depot, Kinko's, and they're using the fax machine to get this information in. Well, the store manager at Staples was interviewed, and he said prior to the change, they were having to keep the store open past midnight just to get fax documents through.
Wow.
Once the change came through, those faxes were going through immediately. And some of these faxes are like 25, 30 pages, and they're going through immediately. Now, why is that? Well, EtherFax is embedded on every Lexmark device within Xerox communications document centers.
Oh, okay.
So that person that walked into Staples, when they put that, those 25, 30 pieces of papers in the fax machine, that was a secure file transfer directly, to the government agency. So those pages were going through in seconds. The store manager was happy. Everybody that was in line was happy. The local state of Arizona was happy. So we really enhanced the experience. People were now able to get their unemployment. So that's just one area where EtherFax kind of came in and saved the day. And there was a lot of press about it. And we were happy. So that's one case study. The other case study that I'd love to really highlight is we work with a company called, I'm sure you're familiar with them, is LexisNexis.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we actually donate our services for this. They have a program called Adam, and it's for missing children. Uh-huh. And when a child goes missing, they send out a fax to all the state and state agencies.
Yeah.
And through that program, they have been able to recover hundreds of thousands of kids utilizing this fax technology. And, that hits home, right? I'm a father of four. I said, we donate those services. It's to a great cause. So, that's just one case study that I'd love to, obviously.
Oh, that's a great case study. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's LexisNexis Adam. That's also on our website. And now we can, definitely talk about workflow automation and really what we're doing. We are, there's one, Fresenius Healthcare is a perfect example. Probably the largest or second largest dialysis center. They have over 5,000 Lexmark devices. And they were experiencing, a lot of bottleneck on the analog line. Analog lines are disappearing. Yeah. Because we're embedded within the Lexmark devices, we were able to immediately alleviate all the bottlenecks, getting patient information through much quicker, allowing dialysis appointments to be scheduled much quicker, getting all of that patient demographics much quicker. So
let me ask you a little bit about that. So, are you able to actually take some of the data from, one or more or all these different documents and actually, create a CCDA?
We are 100%. So create a CCDA, use direct messaging. So
Uh-huh.
that's what we call our Weave Transform product.
Got
So
it. Yep.
yeah, so we could have an outgoing fax, and we have the ability to take a look and see if the receiving destination has a direct message, and if they want to receive that fax via direct message, and then we'll convert it into CCDA, right?
Yep.
An EMR, machine readable format, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
get that over. That'll go to the intake box on the EMR side, and then we'll automatically ingest, MRN,
Right,
any of
right,
the
right,
extracted fields that they wanted.
right. What's the process like for your team to do that EMR integration? Sometimes that becomes a stumbling block to moving forward. What's your
Yeah, so there's a lot of elaborate systems out there like
Mhm.
Highland OnBase. They're have massive Epic integrations. I think for every Epic installation that goes out there, OnBase goes with them. So we work with organizations like OnBase who already have those connectors.
Got
But
it. Perfect.
for organizations that don't, a lot of these EMRs do have APIs that are available.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very talented development team. So for us to write an integration into any EMR is really not trivial. I mean, we could generally have it done within a day or two.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
great. I always talk about those types of integration. Um, uh, you know, the data integration. I always refer to that as the hand-to-hand combat because when it comes down to it, you really need to have the folks that understand exactly, what they've got, what they don't have, and are able to then come to the conclusion that, this is what it's going to take to actually, make all that work.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
And I think while CCDA is great, we also have the ability to utilize Fire,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
really where a lot of organizations are going. And if you take a look at um, the Fire standard actually has, or the Fire protocol, if you will, actually has a document standard in there for transformation of documents. So,
Hmm.
direct messaging is great. I have issues with, I don't want to say I have issues with direct messaging, but this goes back to adoption, right? And usability,
Yeah.
changing workflow, because think about it, direct messaging is really secure email, but
Hmm.
you're changing workflow. So why is fax still king when direct messaging has all of these wonderful features?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So,
Very true.
yep.
So there was one thing here, and you said something before, and I can't recall exactly what I wanted to ask you. But one thing that not necessarily related, but um, you're actually high trust certified, I believe, right?
We are R2 High Trust certified. We were the first organization to become PCI Level 4
Wow.
certified when they came out with the new standard, and we're
Hmm.
currently going through our FedRAMP certification.
You are. Wow,
Yes.
that is great. That is, Paul. That is some investment you're making there. That tells folks, how serious you are
Yeah.
around security. That's terrific.
Yeah.
I've been through a high trust certification process myself, and it's not a trivial effort at all.
No, not by any means. And their first iteration was, it was, listen, I'm not the one doing it, so, and I say to everyone, it's just typing, so it's easy. um, you know,
Okay.
but we're no strangers to security by any means. I mean, we
Yeah.
do a lot of great stuff in that space. But the R2 certification, this is what I love about high trust as and FedRAMP and PCI is listen, it's a third party attestation, right? You could do
Mhm.
self audits, and I talk about this all the time. Any organization looking for a company to do anything in the cloud, if you're accepting a self audit, if you're sending them that in Excel sheet and accepting a self audit, you really need to question yourself as an organization,
Mhm.
because high trust and PCI, you can't just say that we do this. and BS your way through it.
Right.
You have to provide actual evidence.
Yeah.
And hands down to high trust, because you know what? They got rid of QSAs that were trying to fudge the system. They really, really do their due diligence. So yeah, we are R2 certified, and yeah, FedRAMP is just a whole other beast.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But boy, you get through that, right? I think that puts you in a whole nother class, And speaking of class, I noticed that you've got you achieved the highest level of validation class digital fax 2023 report that just came out.
Yeah, we're the only provider to do it back to back.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. So we received level 4, the highest level of class validation. And again, class, a great organization, especially within healthcare. They do their due diligence. Highly, highly respected in the industry. So we're really proud to achieve that level of validation again,
Gotcha.
back to back.
Yeah, no, that's great. Hey, Paul, we're getting close to the end here of our time. What I'd like to do is I'd like to invite you back. I'd like to have another session where we can maybe take a deeper dive into some of the technology that really makes up your solutions and products. Talk a little bit about what level of AI are you using, and just maybe a little bit more so that all of the information technologists that are in our chapter, they can get a little more insight into your organization and technology and how that's applied. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. We could would be great, because we are starting to, my team's gonna kill me for saying this, but take advantage of generative AI, right?
Yeah.
Summarization and classification. So we're really, well, I'm all giddy about that. I'm super excited. So yeah, let's
Okay.
I would love to take you up on that offer, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think I'll do a better job of coordinating our schedules, and we'll figure that out. But absolutely, that'll be of great interest to the chapter membership. One thing that we didn't do, I want to make sure that we get your website out there, right? It's www.etherfax.net. That is ETHERFAX.net. I will spare all our listeners of my ability to do the phonetics on that when it comes to my naval background. But it's etherfax.net. And, I want to just one last point. I want to just make sure that everyone knows that we do have our fall conference coming up this month, October 17th. That's when it starts, and it wraps up on the 19th. Paul, I believe you guys are going to be there, right?
We will be there. My team will be there. I believe Antonetta Carboni will be there.
Great.
Representing, and maybe our product manager, Ben Manning. I will be in Dubai at the GIDEX conference.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's great. Yep. And so terrific. You're going to have the team there. It's in Atlantic City, New Jersey at the Hard Rock Casino. It's really a great event to network and learn. And one thing that we like to stress is that, organizations like yours, right? You really do contribute to our chapter and the membership, and it's much, much appreciated. So I'm going to ask all of our providers and folks, the members, to stop by, say hello to Paul's team, make it a point, spend a few minutes, and maybe you'll get a preview to our next podcast about some of Paul's innovation, roadmap, and technology. So, Paul, really, thank you very much. This has been great. That really wraps up our discussion for today. I think, Paul, we enjoyed doing it. I hope you guys did too. Stay tuned for more episodes in this podcast series. By all means, check out our other podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. We are New Jersey HIMSS. That's NJHIMSS on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Podbean, TuneIn, plus Alexa. Please subscribe to our channel on those platforms, and please, please, please always hit the like buttons. And you can also find our podcast on our website, njhims.org. That's njhims.org. Thank you, Paul. And thanks
Thank you,
to all
Mike.
our listeners.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thanks.